Welcome to Your Personal Power Pod, a podcast about aligning yourself with the life you want. And here are your hosts, Sandy Abel and Shannon Young.
Shannon, another beautiful day. How are you?
Sandy, I am well. How about you? We're entering the holiday season. Is that good for you?
Especially Thanksgiving. I like Thanksgiving because it's about what we're talking about today, which is great, which is about finding the good and being thankful, being grateful. Yeah. And there's no politics involved. There's no religion involved. There's no anything except being thankful. I love that.
Yeah, this is a fun topic. There's magic in finding the good. And I think it is fascinating that wherever you are, whatever situation you are in, whatever you want to see, whatever you want in your life, it's there right in front of you. All you have to do is look at it, and that's negative or positive. Just have to choose, and it's all right in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. You get what you expect. People don't understand that. It's just so weird. Today, we're looking at what do you see when you get up in the morning? What do you think about? Do you expect your day to go well and have a wonderful thing happen to you? Lots of wonderful things? Or do you expect things to be a struggle and things to go wrong? Either way, you'll be right.
Yes. Every situation has its positive and its negative aspects, and you always have the power to choose which ones you want to surround yourself with.
Exactly. Which ones you want to pay attention to, and that will bring more of that. It's very, very weird. It's sort of magical to watch how that works.
It is.
Positive and negative thoughts are like self-fulfilling prophecies. What you expect can often come true. So if you think positively, you're likely to enjoy positive results. If you think negatively, can lead to outcomes you really don't want, but you expected them, so there they are.
So what is negative thinking?
It's about when you expect the worst. You tend to personalize things and take what others do as a personal affront, or you always make things negatively about you.
Choosing to see only the bad parts of a person or a situation or a relationship, or catastrophizing. Something happens and you instantly take it to the worst case scenario.
Yeah, you don't believe that things will work out well, and you always look for the negative. You expect to fail, so you usually do. Then you surround yourself with like-minded people who are all about doom and gloom. It just drags you down. Have you experienced any of that?
Yes, I think we all have.
Oh.
I think it's always been out there. People have always been able to look on the good side or look on the bad side of things. Now we're just surrounded with more opportunities to do that. If you're spending time online, it's really easy to go down a news rabbit hole, reading negative comments.
Yeah.
You know, all that stuff is just that much more in our face.
Yeah, listening to these people called influencers who are not influencing you in a positive way. They're making you feel bad about who you are because you're not as cool as they are, or whatever they're doing.
How about you? What have you found most sticky in terms of the negative things? You are one of the most positive people I've ever met, which is awesome to be around. But I'm sure that there are things that you have to exert a little bit more energy to kind of free yourself of.
Yeah. Recently, I've had some challenges with friendships that came out of the blue and was very disturbing. And I'm making sense of it and figuring out how to move past it and find the good even in that. Sometimes things happen that you have to adjust to and shift with and find the positive. In the meantime, you do a little negative thinking to begin with. What about you?
I find that my husband and we approach life quite differently. And I come from a place that is very positive and very supportive. And so my tendency is to look on the bright side.
Yes, which is wonderful.
Yeah, it's great. But that's really foreign for people who didn't come from that kind of a background, or who maybe are a little bit more on guard against being hurt. They tend to look out for the negative a little bit more.
Right. Yeah, that can be a challenge. Some people feel they have to find the negative because they want to be prepared to deal with it.
Yes, it's precautionary.
Yes. And a certain amount of that makes sense as far as, we live in earthquake country. So maybe we would like to be ready for an earthquake and have the supplies and things we need if that happened, or we need a plan. Sometimes it's good to expect and be aware of where things can go wrong. But then once you've done that, then you go, okay, now the positive is we're ready for that.
Yeah. Prepare for the worst, expect the best.
Exactly. Fear and prepare for the worst if you want to, but then let it go once you're prepared.
Right.
And then expect the best.
Because if you prepare for the worst and expect the worst, you're going to get it. And then hopefully you are prepared because it's coming.
Right. I think it's be aware of what can happen.
Yes.
But don't expect it.
Yes.
Just be aware this could happen. So we're going to do these things. So if it happens, we'll be ready. And now we're going to appreciate the fact that it's not happening and that everything is wonderful and go back to finding the good.
So that leads us into positive thinking, which means focusing on the good in any situation. And it doesn't mean ignoring reality or challenges, but assuming that things will turn out well and taking steps to make sure that they do. I think what's important in that sentence is that looking at reality and challenges as opportunities instead of bombs that explode your happiness.
Yes, exactly. They're all opportunities. It's associated with positive actions and outcomes. If you're positive thinking, you'll have positive actions and outcomes. You're drawn to and focus on the good aspects of every situation.
It means having hope and believing in yourself and in other people, trusting that things will go well, and that will help you work and invest in yourself, situations, other people to prove that your optimism is actually warranted. It's not just pie in the sky.
Right, right. Positive people are happier, healthier, enjoy more success, and just love life. So why not go that direction? I don't get that.
Yeah.
But our focus, whether we're positive or negative, we learn at an early age. We learn when we're children. If we have parents who find the good and always make things work out, we learn that life is like that. And if we have parents who complain and suffer and struggle and can't make things work out at all, we learn that life is hard, that we have to be prepared and always expect the worst. And that's not a fun way to live. No. And once you're an adult, you do have the choice of figuring out what you were raised with. And if it's not making you happy now, you can change that because there's all kinds of benefits to positive thinking.
You know, I met a friend many, many moons ago who was a pilot, and I was covering a story at the airport, and he was at the airport because he'd flown his plane there. And we just struck up a conversation and wound up becoming friends. We've been friends for decades now. But he told me just a few years ago that when he first met me, he didn't think I was all that bright. And I was like, that's a nice thing to say. What? Why? And he said, because I was such a happy person and that anybody who had a brain couldn't possibly be that happy, because if you could see what was going on in the world, there's no way that you could be that upbeat. I know, I was blown away. And I thought, well, I mean, how horrible to have to choose between having a brain and having joy. But just the fact that that's what he had been taught, one of the smartest people I've ever met. And because of that, he just saw problems everywhere. And that's what he chose to look at. It opened my eyes to the struggle that I think a lot of people have, which is if you're aware, then you have to make a choice about where you're putting your attention. And if you're not aware, then ignorance can absolutely be bliss. But there is a way to be aware and pick joy at the same time.
Oh, most definitely. Definitely. It doesn't mean you're walking through life with blinders on or oblivious. You know what's going on. Right now, there are a lot of really terrible things happening in the world, in our country, and also in places like Ukraine and Poland and other places. We know that those are happening. Most of them we cannot impact. We don't have the power to fix those. If we focus on them all the time, all it does is bring us down without accomplishing a thing. Be aware, but also look at all the wonderfulness. That is my word. I don't know if it's a real word, but I use it a lot because there is so much out there that is just wonderful, especially this time of year. My goodness, I take a walk every day. The trees are gorgeous. It's just phenomenal what nature does. The weather and the people in my life. We are fortunate to have a house and a car and food, and we're warm and dry and safe. My goodness, so much to be positive about. And yes, we can focus on how awful it is at other things or other places. I choose to find the joy. It's just way more fun.
And I do not think you are advocating for ignoring the situation. If we're looking at what's
heck
happening
no.
in Ukraine, there are absolutely people suffering, and you can donate money, you can
Right.
volunteer for the Red Cross. You can do that
Right.
kind of thing to help the situation halfway around the world, but you can also
Right.
start reaching out in your own community. Like if you're concerned about the human condition, do something to better the human condition, whether that's for your
Right.
neighbors and just taking soup to people who are sick, or volunteering for an organization, or in some cases, hopping on a plane and joining an organization that is helping in the part of the world that you're actually concerned about. I mean, you're not saying isolate yourself or insulate yourself from the problems. You're just saying do what
Oh,
you can
no.
do, but also focus on the greatness that is also around you.
Right. Well, even the fact that you're in a position to give to
Yeah.
others is wonderful. Be grateful for that, because a lot of people, their lives are destroyed and they're just trying to survive. They don't have the ability right now to give to others.
Mhm.
And just appreciate. There's always, always things and people to appreciate. And that's all positive thinking. It's just finding the good. And it's important to do that because studies have shown that the role of optimism and positive thinking really impacts your mental and physical health. Some of the physical benefits, you can have a longer lifespan and a lower chance of having a heart attack.
If you feel yourself coming down with a bug, I've noticed this a lot, especially when it comes to having a cold or in flu season. If you start to get the sniffles, sometimes people would be like, oh, that's it. I'm getting sick. I'll probably have to take off work tomorrow. And then they inevitably get really sick. But there is a point at which you can say, yeah, I've got the sniffles. I bet it'll stop here. And then take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't get the cold and you don't get the flu. Like just the magic that comes from the direction your brain goes in. So greater resistance to illnesses, better overall physical health.
Yes, absolutely. And lower blood pressure, less stress, better pain tolerance.
Yeah.
All those things come from just being positive. And of course, there's the mental health benefits too.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't get mired in the quicksand of negative thinking,
Yes, right.
all kinds of great things happen. Your creativity flourishes, your problem solving skills become sharper.
And you think clearer and you have better moods.
Yeah, and you cope better. Things don't overwhelm you as
Yes.
easily. So you're less depressed, you're less stuck.
Yeah. You just find the
Yeah.
fun. You find the joy. And it is always there. You just have to look for it.
And your relationships will benefit
Oh, yeah.
in a huge
By
way.
far. Who would rather be with a really negative, down, grumpy person or a happy person?
Mhm.
I think I'd choose happy. That's way more
Yeah.
fun. So you have more positive relationships.
And will just be generally more successful and joyful. And I know a lot of people define success by money, but I think that also have to throw in there like how much fun you're having in your life and how joyful it is. And so if you're expecting things to go well, I think you'll be a
Right.
deeper kind of successful.
Exactly. Exactly. A lot of people at the end of their life, they look back and they say, yeah, I made $40 million, but I don't think my life was successful because all I did was work and I didn't have any fun. My relationship suffered and I did not have a successful, joyful life. I have money, but money does not define success.
Nope.
Find the good.
A man is but the product of his thoughts, what he thinks he becomes. That's Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah. And positive thinking will let you do everything better than negative thinking will. Zig Ziglar said that. It's pretty true, Positive thinking will let you do everything better
So how do we do that?
with more joy.
Because it's a skill.
It is. And you start by becoming aware of your thoughts. Notice if finding the negative is a habit, identify where that came from and see how it's serving you. Does it work for you? Does it really make your life better to always find the negative?
It is a habit. It's really easy to fall into that, especially when you're having relationships with people. If you've got friends who vent or who always look at the harder side of things, sometimes
Yes.
playing along with them can be a way to bond.
Mhm.
Sharing those grievances, it kind of puts you on the same level. It puts you next to each other, kind of like the two grumpy old guys on the balcony on the Muppet Show.
Right.
You may not even know you're doing it because there's a kind of a joy involved with going there with someone. It picks up its own momentum and it feels like you're in this together. But that's really dangerous. Be careful about
Yeah.
going down that road.
Yeah, I call it going down the rabbit hole. Nowadays, the thing in our country that is the rabbit hole is politics. And it's so much hate and division and anger, and people have forgotten what the point is. If you get several people who think the same, and they will just rant and carry on and get each other really worked up about how awful whatever the situation is, and walk away feeling terrible. I don't see the point. We all acknowledge that it's crazy right now and it's unfortunate, and it would be really nice if we could all get a grip and remember what it's all about. Then we don't need to beat it to death and just be negative and go round and round in a circle about how awful things are.
Yeah.
Because that just brings more negativity.
Yeah. It doesn't fix anything.
Not at all.
So first you have to decide that you want to change it.
Absolutely.
And then when you notice a negative thought, try to stop it, shift your focus to the positive, and think rationally about the situation.
Yeah, that's an important one.
Is everything terrible, or are you just telling yourself that?
Is this one issue everything?
Yeah.
No, that's this one issue, whatever it is, that isn't going the way you want it to. But the rest of your life is pretty darn good. So acknowledge what you want to acknowledge about what isn't working the way you want it to. But then find the joy. My gosh, there's so much good. And surround yourself with positive people who also find the joy. And take responsibility for your life. Find your power and stop being a victim of whatever's happening out there.
Gratitude journals became a thing. I think Oprah made them popular again. But there is something really powerful about writing down the things you're grateful for. And if you do it just a few days in a row and try to find something different each day, you'll be amazed how quickly you'll start seeing more and more and more things to be appreciative for.
Absolutely.
And then just smile. I know there have been a lot of different studies done about how using different muscles affects your mental state, but it has been proven that if you bring up the corners of your mouth, your mood will shift.
Yeah, isn't it fascinating how that works?
Yeah. And breathe. Don't forget to breathe. Just taking deep breaths can affect you physically and mentally, and it doesn't take more than a couple of seconds.
Yeah, and learn to think positively regardless of the situation. There is always something good. It may not be immediately obvious, but eventually there are lessons, there are new skills in every situation if you choose to open your eyes and look around and find it and make a conscious effort to see the opportunities instead of the obstacles and be gentle with yourself.
As always.
Yes, find the joy. There is so much beauty and joy and wonderfulness in the world. Find it. Bring it into your life.
It's an order.
Yes, it is. Bring it into your life. We would love to hear about that, by the way. If you have thoughts on this, have focused on the positive and had wonderful things happen, let us know. We'd love to hear that.
Oh, yeah, we love those stories.
Yes, those are very fun.
So this is definitely a skill and a muscle. And the more you use it, the easier it becomes. It can feel a little bit foreign at first and kind of silly, but I promise you the rewards are huge.
Yes.
So you always have the option of looking at the positive or the negative, and you get to decide which one you want to allow to color your life.
Yeah. Allow yourself to feel the joy and to find the joy and the beauty, because there's so much. Oh my gosh, there's so much.
All right, bring us home.
You always have the option of looking positively or negatively at a situation. And when you choose to find the bad, it will harm your physical, mental, and emotional health and damage relationships. Most negative thoughts are irrational, and by taking time to understand your own thought patterns, you can challenge those irrational thoughts. Becoming more positive is always a good thing. The more aware you are of your thoughts, the better you'll be able to change them to emphasize the positive. And positive thinking usually attracts positive people and events and outcomes, which is very fun to watch. Notice that. If you create an environment where you're successful and satisfied, you'll have the power of positive thinking on your side. You always have the power to find the good and joy in life.
Thank you for being such a positive person and raising me that way.
Oh, what is the point of finding the misery? I just love there's so much good. You are all heart. You are beautiful inside and out.
Oh, thank you.
And you do find the joy. And it's very fun to be with you because you always find the good.
Well, you taught me how. You set a great example.
That's very fun. And I hope that our listeners are willing to give it a try, even if you were raised in a household where that was criticized and people told you didn't really have a grasp on reality if you were doing that. There's struggles out there and you need to pay attention to that. Yes, notice, be aware of all of it, but then choose what you want to surround yourself with and you will find it. It's very fun.
And then tell us about it.
Yes.
Because we love these stories.
Yes, we do.
So please let us know about how you've chosen the good and how that's changed your life, about how self-esteem and personal power affect your life. Let us know if there are things you want to talk about. We want your suggestions for topics. And if you are so inclined, we'd love it if you wanted to review our podcast. And you can do so wherever you stream or listen, or you can visit yourpersonalpowerpod.com, click contact and drop us an email and just talk to us directly. We will respond. And if you'd like to make changes in your personal or business life, spending time with a coach can make all the difference. And Sandy's offering a free consultation. So if you want to give coaching a try, reach out to her at sandy@insidejobscoach.com. Put coaching in the subject line of that email, and then you can get your free call scheduled. Thank you so much. We appreciate you for listening to Your Personal Power Pod. We look forward to hearing from you. And until next time, find your power and change your life.